think you're supposed to wait until you feel ready, until the stars align, until the weight lifts from your chest and motivation strikes like lightning. No, that's the lie that's kept you frozen in the same place for years. The truth is brutal, and you need to hear it. You will not feel good before you begin. That spark you're waiting for, it's never coming. Not until you drag yourself forward, bleeding, exhausted, and half-broken, and take the first step anyway. Because here's the reality. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates power. Think about it. When was the last time you felt like it? When was the last time that invisible hand of inspiration pulled you up and carried you to victory? You can't remember, can you? That's because it doesn't exist. Winners don't wait to feel good. They start in chaos. They start in darkness. They start when their hands shake and their lungs burn and their mind whispers, "Not today." And when they start, something shifts. Movement kills hesitation. The fog begins to clear. What was heavy becomes light. What felt impossible becomes inevitable. You don't have to be confident to start. You don't have to be fearless to start. You don't even have to believe in yourself yet. All you need is to move, to take the first step, to throw yourself into the fire and let action build the belief you've been searching for. Understand this. The battlefield of life doesn't reward feelings. It rewards execution. The man who drags himself out of bed and into the fight, despite every cell in his body screaming for comfort, will always outrun the man still waiting for perfect conditions. Every time you hesitate, you reinforce your weakness. Every time you step forward, you forge strength. That's the formula. That's the law. The champions you admire, the ones you call lucky, they were never lucky. They simply mastered this truth. Discipline first, feelings later. So, when your mind tells you to stay in bed, when the weight of life feels unbearable, when your heart is pounding and your thoughts are screaming at you to quit, start anyway. Start ugly. Start weak. Start small. Because the act of starting is the spark. It's the ignition. It's the war drum that tells your mind and body, we are moving forward whether you like it or not. And when you move forward long enough, the feelings catch up. The confidence grows. The fire builds. But that first step, that belongs to you, and only you. The world will never hand you the perfect morning, the perfect mindset, the perfect plan. Stop waiting for the path to clear. Stop waiting to feel good. Start, move, build and conquer. Because the longer you wait, the more the rot sets in. And every second wasted is a second you could have been sharpening your blade, building your momentum, and rewriting your story. The clock is ticking. The battlefield is waiting, and no one is coming to save you. Get up. Start now. The war won't fight itself. You've heard the truth. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to feel good. You need to move. But hearing it isn't enough. You need a framework, something you can carry into the chaos of your days when discipline feels like an impossible climb. This is that framework. 5 steps. Simple. Ruthless. Non-negotiable. If you're done waiting for permission, if you're ready to build momentum in the middle of the storm, then burn this into your mind and execute it until it becomes instinct. Here's how you dominate, even when you don't feel like it. Step 1. Stop worshiping the mood. Here's the hard truth. Your emotions are not your allies. They're not your compass, your guide, or your signal to begin. They're the noise in your head that keeps you in the same damn place, convincing you that you need to feel ready before you move. Stop worshiping the mood. The world has conditioned you to wait. Wait until you're inspired. Wait until the fear goes away. Wait until the energy comes. But waiting is the silent killer. Waiting is what buries dreams and keeps you chained to the same cycles of mediocrity you swore you'd break. Look around you. The people at the top, the ones you admire, the ones you call disciplined, motivated, or built different. They're not running on some magical fuel you don't have. They're just doing it anyway. They wake up tired, sore, unmotivated, and they still move. Why? Because they understand something most people never will. Motion builds emotion. You don't start because you feel good. You start, and then you feel good. You think the champion boxer wants to hit the gym every morning. You think the entrepreneur wants to grind every day while the rest of the world sleeps? No. But they show up anyway, and that act of showing up flips the switch. By the time the rest of the world is sipping coffee and scrolling their phones, they're already in motion. And motion is what turns the average man into a weapon. When you let your feelings dictate your actions, you become a puppet. Some days you'll pull the strings, but most days you'll just hang there, limp, waiting for a spark that never comes. If you want control, if you want freedom, if you want to dominate your goals, you have to break that cycle. And here's the brutal part. The only way to break it is to act when you don't feel like it. Not think about acting, not talk about acting. Move. When your alarm goes off and every bone in your body begs for 5 more minutes, swing your legs over the side of the bed and stand up. When your plan tells you to write, to run, to build, to practice, do it before the voice in your head convinces you to delay. It's not glamorous. It's not cinematic. It's war. A quiet, relentless war against yourself. Understand this. Emotions are fleeting. They rise and fall like waves. If you let them control you, your progress will rise and fall too. And you'll never build the consistency that breeds mastery. So you take the opposite approach. You make action the constant. Whether you're broken or whole, exhausted or wired, lost or clear, you move. The emotion can follow later. Sometimes it won't. It doesn't matter. The victory is in the action, not the feeling. Think about the moments in your life when you actually felt unstoppable, when the fire was there. Those moments didn't come before you started. They came because you started. Because you picked up the pen, laced the shoes, made the call, opened the book, and pushed forward despite the resistance. That's the formula, and it never changes. When you strip away the excuses, what you're left with is this. You either move or you stay. Every day, every decision, every second, that choice sits in front of you like a blade on the table. Most people won't pick it up. They'll keep waiting for the mood, the motivation, the perfect alignment of stars that will never arrive. But you're done waiting. Starting when you don't feel like it is how you reclaim power. It's how you tell your mind, I run this show, not you. And over time, that simple act of rebellion becomes your greatest strength. The emotions still come, but they stop steering the ship. You move whether they're with you or not. And here's the secret. Once you stop worshiping the mood, you become unstoppable. Because while everyone else is paralyzed, chasing the lie of feeling ready, you're already miles ahead, building momentum, stacking wins, forging results. No more waiting. No more bargaining. no more hesitation. When you understand that action is the cause and confidence is the effect, you stop playing the game backwards. You stop living like a slave to how you feel. You don't need permission. You don't need alignment. You don't need the perfect morning or the perfect mindset. You need to move right now. The mood will catch up later. Step 2. Build micro wins into momentum. Everyone wants the big win, the perfect transformation, the overnight success story they can point to and say, "That's the moment it all changed." But here's the truth no one wants to hear. There are no big wins without 1,000 small, ugly victories, stacked one on top of the other. Momentum isn't born from grand gestures. It's forged in the tiny, almost invisible steps you take when no one's watching. It's built when you drag yourself out of bed on a cold, dark morning and check just one box that moves you forward, even when you feel broken, tired, or hopeless. That's the secret. Small wins compound into unstoppable force. Think about a freight train. At the start, it's heavy, sluggish, almost impossible to move. But inch by inch, wheel by wheel, it gathers speed. And once it builds momentum, nothing stands in its path. That's what micro wins do. They get you moving when every instinct tells you to stay still. Here's where most people fail. They stare at the mountain instead of the ground at their feet. They obsess over the 50 pounds they want to lose, the 6 figures they want to earn, the dream business they want to build. And because the finish line feels so far away, they never take the first step. You don't climb the mountain by staring at the peak. You climb it by planting one foot, then another, and refusing to stop. Start with something so small, it feels almost stupid. One push-up, 1 minute of focused work, one call, one email, one rep, one page. The size of the step doesn't matter. What matters is that you start moving. Here's the paradox. The action you think is too small to matter is exactly what creates the momentum to handle the bigger battles ahead. Motion creates confidence. Confidence creates hunger. And hunger builds an energy that makes quitting impossible. Every micro win sends a message to your subconscious. I am not who I used to be. I move forward, no matter what. That's how you build a new identity, brick by brick, day after day. But don't mistake this for weakness. Micro wins aren't about lowering your standards. They're about outsmarting resistance. They strip away the excuses your brain builds to keep you comfortable. When you shrink the barrier to entry, you remove the option of paralysis. That's how it begins. But here's where it transforms. When you stack those wins consistently, day after day, week after week, they evolve into something far greater. Momentum. Momentum is a force of nature. It's the current that carries you forward even when you don't feel like swimming. Once you have it, hesitation dies. Doubt dies. Fear dies. Because now you've built proof. Proof that you can execute, that you can move, that you are capable of showing up every single time. This is why the man who moves in inches every day will always outrun the one who waits to take a leap. Inches turn into feet. Feet turn into miles. And one day, you look up, and the mountain that once crushed you is behind you. Nothing but dust in your rear view. So when the voice in your head whispers, "What's the point?" One small step won't matter. Shut it down. One step is everything. One step is the crack in the dam that becomes a flood. Make it your ritual. Wake up. Take the smallest possible action that pushes you forward, and let that action ignite the next. Chain those actions together until they become unstoppable forward motion. Remember this: you don't need to conquer the war in a day. You just need to win today's battle. And when tomorrow comes, you win that one too. Every single day. It's not about feeling like it. It's about building the kind of momentum that makes feelings irrelevant. Start small. Start ugly. Start when you don't want to. Then keep stacking those wins until they form a wall no storm can break. That's how ordinary men become legends. Step 3. Forge an environment of war. Discipline isn't just a battle fought in your mind. It's a war fought in your surroundings. Look around you right now. Your environment is either building your future or burying it. Every distraction, every piece of clutter, every whisper of comfort is a silent enemy keeping you chained where you are. You want to rise? You want to build something unshakable? Then you have to forge your environment into a battlefield where success is the only option. The enemy of comfort. Comfort is subtle. It doesn't scream at you. It lulls you into mediocrity. The phone buzzing next to you. The TV humming in the background. The pile of unfinished tasks scattered across your desk. Every piece of comfort pulls you one step further from discipline, one step closer to drift. And drift is death. You think you have a discipline problem? Maybe. Or maybe you just have a battlefield problem. A warrior surrounded by chaos will eventually become chaos. A warrior surrounded by order will thrive. Turn your space into a command center. Your environment should command action. It should be impossible to sit in your space without moving toward your mission. Your desk. Clear it. Every unnecessary object is noise. Every piece of clutter is an excuse waiting to happen. Your devices. Lock them down. Block the apps that eat your time. Silence the notifications that keep you reactive instead of proactive. Your walls. Cover them with reminders of who you are becoming. Quotes, plans, visions of the future you refuse to quit on. Let your surroundings scream your purpose louder than your doubts. When you step into this space, you should feel it in your bones. This is where I work. This is where I build. This is where I win. Eliminate escape routes. Your environment should leave no room for retreat. If you're trying to write, don't sit in the same room where you scroll your phone and binge shows. If you're trying to build strength, don't keep junk food in your kitchen like it's a harmless treat. Every escape route you leave open will eventually be used. Winners build traps for their excuses. They don't rely on willpower. They engineer discipline. Ask yourself, if I wanted to fail, how would I set up my space? Then destroy those conditions. Build the opposite. Build for victory. Weaponize your triggers. Every environment sends signals. Train your brain to associate your space with your mission. When you walk into your gym, the smell of iron and chalk tells your mind, it's time to work. When you sit at your desk, the clear space, the open journal, the sound of silence tells your mind, it's time to create. Build these triggers. Layer them into your environment until stepping into that space flips a switch you can't turn off. Order breeds power. Understand this. Chaos breeds hesitation. Order breeds power. When your environment is dialed in, clean, sharp, intentional, your actions follow. Your mind has one job: execute. You don't waste energy fighting distractions because there are none left to fight. This is how you become consistent. This is how you build momentum that doesn't collapse under stress. The battlefield never lies. Your environment tells the truth about your priorities. Look around you. If your desk is a mess, If your room looks like a battlefield after defeat, if your phone is within reach every time you work, don't be surprised when your results match the chaos. The battlefield never lies. If you want to build a life of power, start with the space you live in. Turn it into a place that demands progress. The warrior's edge. When you forge an environment of war, discipline stops being a struggle. It becomes the natural outcome of the space you've built. It's no longer about forcing yourself to work. The work becomes the path of least resistance. It's no longer about fighting distractions. The distractions have been removed, burned, and buried. This is the edge no one talks about. Most people fail not because they lack discipline, but because they fight their battles on enemy territory every single day. Don't fight on their terms. Build your ground. Control your battlefield. Every time you walk into your space, it should feel like stepping into the arena. A reminder that this is where the war is fought and won. No excuses, no retreat, just forward, always forward. Step 4. Create a trigger for movement. Discipline doesn't wait for inspiration. It's engineered. And the weapon you forge to make that happen is a trigger. Because here's the truth. Your brain is lazy by design. It will do everything in its power to keep you still, to keep you safe, to keep you locked inside the comfortable cage you built for yourself. That resistance you feel every time you're about to take action, that's survival mode whispering in your ear, trying to keep you exactly where you are. You can't argue with it. You can't reason with it. You override it. And the way you override it is with a ritual, a trigger that flips your system into move mode before your brain has a chance to talk you out of it. The science of the switch. Your mind craves patterns. It loves repetition. That's why habits stick, good or bad. You've built rituals for hesitation without even knowing it. The phone check before you start work. The 10 minutes of excuses before the gym. The "I'll start tomorrow" lie you tell yourself every night. The goal isn't to fight your wiring. The goal is to rewire it. To install a trigger so automatic, so sharp, that when it fires, your body moves whether you feel like it or not. This is how warriors operate. This is how soldiers execute orders in the chaos of battle. The command comes, and the body responds. There's no debate, no hesitation, no second guessing. Building your trigger. Your trigger can be anything, but it has to be yours, and it has to mean something. For some, it's a song. One track that, the moment it hits, flips the switch and sharpens the focus. For others, it's a mantra. A phrase repeated until it cuts into the subconscious like steel on stone. Move now. Act now. Build now. Maybe it's a physical action. Tying your shoes, slamming a notebook shut, stepping into cold water, or flicking off the light in the room. The action doesn't matter. What matters is what your brain associates with it. Here's the key. Repetition. Use the trigger every time you take action, until the connection is so strong that the trigger itself becomes the command to execute. Ritual over motivation. You will never win the war waiting for motivation to knock on your door. Motivation is fickle. It's a storm that blows in and out without warning. But ritual is reliable. Ritual is a blade you sharpen every single day until it cuts through resistance like it's not even there. Think about it. Athletes don't feel like it every time they train, but their rituals pull them into motion. Fighters don't feel like it every time they step into the cage, but the walk, the gloves, the lights, Those triggers carry them forward when fear wants to hold them back. Stacking state and action. When you fire your trigger, pair it with instant action. Not thinking, not planning. Movement. Hit the playlist, start the reps, repeat the mantra, open the laptop and write. Close the notebook, leave for the gym. Don't give your mind the space to interfere. The faster you connect the trigger to action, the stronger the neural pathway becomes. Until you don't even think, you just move. Identity in the trigger. The power of a trigger isn't just in action, it's in identity. When you train your brain to associate a specific ritual with forward motion, that ritual becomes proof of who you are. You're no longer the person waiting to feel ready. You're the person who acts on command. You're the soldier who moves without hesitation. You're the builder who executes, no matter the hour, no matter the weather, no matter the noise. And once that identity takes root, quitting becomes impossible. Not because it's hard to quit, but because it no longer matches who you are. Your orders. Build your trigger. Protect it. Use it every single time. Make it so ingrained in your routine that your body moves before your brain even realizes what's happening. When resistance whispers, the trigger roars louder. That's how you turn hesitation into automatic motion. That's how you turn action into instinct. Because in the war for your goals, you don't need more motivation. You need a switch you can flip on command. One that leaves no room for debate, no room for delay, no room for weakness. When the moment comes, when your body wants to stay still and your mind is drowning in excuses, you don't think. You fire the trigger, and you move. Step 5. Document the war. Memory is a liar. It forgets the wins. It distorts the failures. It convinces you that you've done more than you have, or that you've done less than you deserve credit for. That's why warriors document the war. Every move, every strike, every scar. If you want to build unstoppable momentum, you need more than action. You need evidence of your fight. Something undeniable. Something you can point to on your darkest days and say, I don't stop. I don't quit. I move forward. Every single time. Why the record matters. Progress is invisible in the moment. You'll grind for days, weeks, even months, and feel like nothing's changing. That's when most people quit. Not because they were weak, but because they couldn't see the growth they'd earned. Tracking your actions kills that illusion. It gives you proof. Hard, black and white proof that you've been putting in the work. That you've been stacking bricks, even when the walls didn't seem to rise. When doubt creeps in, you can open that log, look at the entries, and silence the noise. No, I'm not the same. Look at the record. Look at the trail of blood behind me. Look at what I've built. Focus on actions, not just outcomes. Most people make the mistake of tracking results. Pounds lost, dollars earned, followers gained. That's fine for measuring direction, but it's useless for building discipline. Track actions, not just outcomes. Did you take the step? Did you execute today's mission? Did you do the work when you didn't feel like it? Yes or no? Why? Because you can't control the results directly. But you can control the inputs. And the inputs, compounded over time, are what drag the results into reality. Build your system. This isn't complicated. Use a notebook, a spreadsheet, an app. The medium doesn't matter. The discipline does. At the end of every day, write down what you did. The workout completed. The hours worked. The pages written. The battles won. Then reflect. What went right? What went wrong? Where did you bleed? What will you do better tomorrow? This system is your battlefield map. It shows where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. The psychological edge. Documentation is more than accountability. It's power. Every entry in your log is a declaration. I showed up. When resistance tries to convince you to take the day off, you'll see the streak staring back at you. 20 days in a row of movement. 20 days of proof. And suddenly the idea of breaking that chain feels like betrayal. This is how discipline becomes automatic. Not through willpower, not through luck, through undeniable evidence that you are who you say you are. Own your data. This log becomes your history, your ledger of war. Over time, you'll see patterns in it. When you push, when you hesitate, when you fall, those patterns are intelligence. Use them. Adapt. Tighten your systems. Eliminate weaknesses. The data doesn't lie, and neither should you. If you see 3 blank days, you don't make excuses. You confront the reality and you course correct. Immediately, from record to ritual. Make this a ritual, not an afterthought. Every night, before the day ends, review your log. Add the wins. Note the lessons. Close the book with clarity. Do it long enough, and this process becomes sacred. You won't want to sleep until you've documented the war. Because a warrior without records is a man lost in the fog. But a warrior who documents every battle knows exactly where he stands and exactly what it will take to win the next fight. Your legacy in ink. One day, you'll look back on those pages. You'll see the early days, the struggle, the chaos, the battles you almost didn't win, and you'll see how far you've come. That's your legacy. The proof that you didn't wait for motivation, that you didn't fold when it got hard, that you chose forward every single time. And when the next war comes, because it always does, you'll open that book and remember exactly who you are. Someone who builds, someone who fights, someone who refuses to stop. Document your war. Build your proof. Create the kind of record that future you will look at and whisper, "We never broke. We never quit. And we never will." This is the truth that separates the few from the many. You don't have to feel good to start. You start, and that's what makes you feel alive. The world is full of men and women waiting for clarity, waiting for energy, waiting for permission. And they'll still be waiting while you're already 10 steps ahead, bleeding, moving, building. Because you've stopped worshiping your moods. You've learned the power of stacking micro wins. You've forged an environment that leaves no room for retreat. You've built triggers that make action automatic. And you've documented every strike, every scar, every small victory that proves you don't stop. That's how warriors are made. Not in perfect conditions, not in the glow of motivation, but in the darkness, when everything in you wants to quit, and you move anyway. The path forward isn't complicated. It's brutal. It's honest. And it's yours. Start now, move forward, and don't stop. There will be days when you hate it. Days when the weight feels impossible. Days when the excuses in your head sound louder than your reason to fight. But those are the days that shape you. Those are the days that carve discipline into your bones and force strength into your soul. And when you look back, months or years from now, you'll see it. The transformation you built one brutal, relentless step at a time. No more waiting. No more hesitation. No more asking for the spark. You are the spark. You are the trigger. You are the one who moves, ready or not. The war doesn't care about your feelings. The world doesn't care about your excuses. Only action counts. Only discipline counts. Only momentum counts. So step forward, even if you're tired, even if you're scared, even if every part of you wants to run back to safety. Because in the end, it won't be how you felt that defines you. It will be what you did. And when that moment comes, when the noise fades and the results stand undeniable, you'll know one thing for certain. You didn't wait. You didn't quit. And you will never, ever stop.